Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision. Before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of the business. So it is an Amazon FBA business created in September of 2018 in the home and baby care niches. The average monthly revenue for the business is $53,035 and makes an average of $14,225 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are an Amazon Seller Central account with 12 SKUs, branded domain, trademarks, which are one in the US and Canada, supplier contracts and relationships, an email list of about 100 subscribers, giveaway gifts for certain SKUs. And just as a disclaimer, inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to active buyers. So for everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 56898 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So that's a brief overview of the business for sale. Let's hear from the sellers with me today. So welcome to the show, Ali and Alia. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well. So I'm very much looking forward to learning more about you and your business. So to start us off, can you tell us a little about your background in building and running online businesses?
So this came to us in September of 2018, the idea of building an online business. It was more so to have an extra revenue stream because we do live in an area where the average detached home price is like $1.4 million. It was just an extra revenue stream that we were seeking. And as a result, we landed on the idea of Amazon FBA. We launched our first product mid-2019, and it was very unsuccessful. And just persevered, worked hard. We launched our next product in early 2020. And since launching that product and educating ourselves and just doing a lot more research as to how to go about this business, we went from having 3 SKUs, so 3 products with 1 variation, to 6 products with 2 variations, and went from having under $20,000 in revenue the first month to averaging over $50,000 a month.
That's awesome. So you said that your first product didn't work out well, and the second round of SKUs obviously has worked out very well. Was it just, would you contribute that to the research that you did? Or I don't know, was there anything different that you did the second time around that maybe you learned something from the first time?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. The first time we did it, like Ali mentioned, we just jumped into something because we were trying to make a little extra cash, and we didn't do enough learning. So we watched a few YouTube videos and we thought, well, let's just, see how this FBA thing is. And so we did it, and it was not successful because we didn't do enough research. We didn't do enough learning. We didn't apply all the strategies that, you do to be successful. So stopped that and took a minute to learn. And we approached some people who have been successful. We took a course and did all that learning, and then applied all of that information and strategy to the next launch. And then that's when we started to see the success.
Well, that's awesome to hear. And so after this success, it's been pretty quick, 2018. So why are you deciding to sell the business now?
So the reason why we're looking to sell is kind of twofold. The first one is we're looking to get some capital for new opportunities. And the second one is because of the fact that there are times that it takes a little bit more time than like. We have 2 very young children and full-time jobs on the side. So as a result, we don't want to neglect our kids. So we thought someone can take this and make it huge because there's a lot of potential with this.
Yeah.
We just don't have the time and energy because we're going to bed at 9 p.m. so that we can with our kids.
Fair enough. All right. And I know I kind of asked this question in the first question when we were talking about product selection, but maybe we can go into that or another point about the business. But what did you learn from building this business that just seemed to work? Or when did this thing click? You said it was after speaking with some people in this space and going through some courses.
Yeah. So the biggest thing about making a product successful on Amazon, I would personally, it depends on whose opinion you want, but in my own personal opinion, I think it has to do with product research, because if you don't have the right terms, you don't have the right elements in a listing, it won't become discoverable. And you want, obviously, customers to discover it. And I think the product research is where we had the largest evolution so that customers can actually come and find our listing.
That's Ali's specialty.
Very nice. And maybe you could speak a little bit more into detail. What was that you tried that with this business that didn't seem to work out?
So in terms of things that may not have worked out as well, I have to say that things have gone quite well. So it's the little things that you get frustrated with. So sometimes it might be there are customers who are unhappy for unreasonable issues. It could be they don't read the listing and they're like, oh, I thought it was going to be like this, and like this. So sometimes it's just the frustration of people not doing their own research before getting our product and then being upset about it.
Yep. And you did mention that one of the reasons for selling is understandably because you have full-time jobs plus 2 children, and this business is requiring a little bit more work. Can you describe that amount and the type of work that you do on this business for maintenance?
It's not a huge amount of time in a week, like it's a part-time amount of work. But I think what we mean by that is that there's so much potential and opportunity and room to grow that we wouldn't really do it justice, because we're not about to turn this into full-time hours, because we don't have the time or space for that. So, I mean, it's been profitable, it's been wonderful, but there is just so much more room to grow that we can't invest the time in. So we're looking to try to sell this, and with that capital, explore just a new adventure, a new challenge, and kind of keep things sort of status quo for us. But we know that this can grow into something big for someone else.
Yep. Awesome. And I'm glad you made that distinction, because the real question is about what type of work do you do for maintenance? And yes, as you mentioned before, that's if you want to really grow the business, then that's another set of amount of time or skill set. So yeah. And speaking of opportunities, if you were to keep the business hypothetically, what are some ways that you would try to grow it?
So in terms of opportunities, there's a lot going on here. I don't remember if you've mentioned yet, Nick, but we sell solely in the Canadian marketplace. So the Canadian population is about 37 million. When you compare that to other regions in the world, especially the States, I think we're less than 10% of the American population. So if you think about the reach that you can get by expanding to other markets, it is exponential. So that's number one. And number two, we only have 6 products. So 6 products is not too much of a difficult to manage. Mm-hmm. So just by expanding the product line, and even the products that we have, there are a lot of variations or different styles that you can find in order to just expand the family.
Yeah, the category that we're listed under, it makes sense to continue expanding the product line specifically because it would be complementary. So it only makes sense to keep growing it.
Yeah. And did you open in the Canadian marketplace primarily because of your familiarity with the marketplace and probably that you live there?
Yeah, it absolutely has to do with the fact that we live there. And because this is our first venture into entrepreneurship, we wanted to see our own products. Mm-hmm. And we don't store the products. It's nice that it's easily accessible, because if we want it at home, it's easy to order. We don't have to pay customs. We don't have to pay a whole extra amount of shipping to get it from the States to Canada.
It seemed like a good place to start because we were new to all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree that's a huge area of opportunity when it's doing well in a much smaller marketplace. It's a very straightforward opportunity for a potential buyer.
And it also has a foundation to launch into larger markets. So you're not launching from zero, which is what happens a lot of the time. And there's a higher risk of failure when you launch from zero. Whereas when you already have the reviews, you have other people who have said this is a good product.
Well, the
it's
foundation
easier to
is
launch.
there.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And speaking of risk, so it's past the product validation phase. You're definitely not starting from zero at all. But at this stage in the business, what do you think are the biggest risks that a buyer should be aware of?
The reality is Amazon is the largest e-commerce platform in the world. They give you access to millions and millions of individuals. And depending on how many markets you reach, you might even get to 1 billion. That being said, I think the largest risk is also that you need to play Amazon's game. They're the reps, they're the owners, they're everything. Yeah. So as a result of that, I think the largest risk is with the constantly changing terms of service, you might do something that you might think is completely normal and it might go against their terms of service. So it's really important to keep educating yourself whenever they do come out with updates.
Yeah, it's wonderful for exposure, but navigating their terms can sometimes be a challenge. And I think, yeah, you're right. That's probably the biggest risk.
Yes. And that is the risk that, especially if the buyer's listening to this who already has experience with Amazon, then they are very well aware of that. Okay. So some final housekeeping questions. First question is, how much support are you willing to offer buyers?
We are happy for the 30 days to be constantly emailing, and we can even set up a weekly call so that we can get through this transition in a much smoother manner.
Perfect. And would you commit to a non-compete?
Yes, we would.
Okay. And are you open to something like an earnout?
We would much prefer the full amount, but with regards to the earnout, if the terms are really good, we're always open to hear.
Cool. Okay. And last 2 questions here. Putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
As mentioned before, when you were asking what would we do if we were to hold on to the company, it's the exact same answer. So essentially, we're in a small market. You can blow this up by taking it to other markets. We don't have that many products, but there are a lot of complementary products that you can add for this brand. And by doing so, you can even increase the product line.
And I think the other thing to note is that the two of us were new to this whole thing. We hadn't really had much experience before this. This was our first venture, and it was really successful. So I think if somebody's coming into this looking at it and has tons of experience behind them, opportunities are limitless then, because they have so much more to bring to the table that they could use their own strategy and technique to really grow it. So if we've been able to see that success, I feel certain that anyone else can also see it.
Absolutely. I'll just piggyback off that statement. And one of our biggest challenges has been inventory and keeping inventory in stock. And we've gone maybe 2 out of the last 10 months where we had all 30 or 31 days with each and every SKU in stock. So with some proper inventory planning and people who have those expertise, the average revenue per month for the year, as well as the profit, could have easily gone up 10,000, if not more.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And as you mentioned, I think the opportunities for growth are definitely clearly reasons for why somebody would be interested in this business. All right. So last question, is there anything you'd like to add that you think I might have missed during the interview?
It's pretty thorough.
Yeah.
I felt like we went through some of the major points myself.
Yeah. Everything seemed good. And we're here for help if anyone needs it during the transition.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I think that's the perfect spot to wrap this up. So I'll end this here. Ali and Alia, thank you very much for sharing your story and joining us on today's episode. And I really hope your business is purchased in the near future and by the right buyer.
Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep. Thank you. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 56898. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you unlock this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.